Hey everybody, I got lots of great romantic dinner ideas for you for Valentine's Day, but I want to start with chocolate because nothing says Valentine's Day like chocolate. And you could go to the 5 and 10, the local drugstore on your way home on Valentine's Day and present your loved one with a box of that waxy chocolate in a heart shape. Well, that heart shape says less about your heart than making your own homemade chocolates, and that's what I want to show you today. Now, here's the thing, it has to with so many of the emails that I get. Chef Todd, I melt chocolate and then it stays watery. Or I'm trying to melt chocolate and it's very, very grainy. Well, this is the difference between melting chocolate and tempering chocolate. Tempering chocolate is a very specific thing where you melt chocolate to 110 degrees Fahrenheit, the specific temperature. The reason, and without me going into a whole science class, is that chocolate is very complex. The molecular structure, the chemical structure of chocolate, very complex. So if you melt it, you're going to break this crystalline structure if it's too high a temperature. It then needs to be cooled and return to that crystalline structure so it's hard at room temperature, right? You want to melt chocolate, you want to dip pretzels in it, you want to dip marshmallows in it, you want to form it or make candy bars, but you want it to crack afterward like chocolate does. You don't want it to be runny or watery. I'm going to show you how to temper chocolate today. And the whole thing behind tempering chocolate, melting it to 110 degrees and then using a third of the quantity of chocolate that you've melted as seed chocolate. Now, what I mean by seed chocolate is when the chocolate is melted at 110 and then this room temperature chocolate is introduced, the melted chocolate takes on the chemical characteristics of the room temperature chocolate. It gives it something to aspire to, a brother to be just like. But what it does is take on, assume that crystalline structure so that the chocolate can again be hard at room temperature. The first step in tempering chocolate is creating a double boiler, a pan of water with slowly simmering liquid. This is too heavy. This is too high a boil right now, but I'm going to lower the temperature and let that calm down a little bit. A double boiler with a small saucepan and a bowl much bigger than the saucepan that it's in. The reason for the bowl much bigger is because we don't want this steam to come out and fold over the bowl in the chocolate. Hot water, any kind of moisture will seize chocolate. So a double boiler correctly done, small saucepan, bowl much bigger than it. Then any quantity of chocolate. This happens to be 3 ounces of chocolate. Any quantity will work for you. 3 ounces here, and I've kept back 1/3 of what I'm actually melting. So now on the double boiler, we want to probably get an oven mitt or something because this bowl is going to get hot quickly. And we start moving this chocolate around. See how quickly it starts to melt. All right, and even if you have to take it off the double boiler for a minute, be very careful, very slow with this temperature, and then return it back when you need to. All right, take it off when it gets too hot. Stir it around. We want all this chocolate to melt as gently, as slowly as we possibly can. Now remember, chocolate will melt in your mouth. Your mouth is 98.6 degrees. Chocolate will start to melt at about 90 degrees. Now, if chocolate gets to 130 degrees Fahrenheit, it breaks and it cannot be recovered. It looks like somebody put sand in your chocolate. You've ever heated it to too high a temperature and seen that grainy look of your chocolate, you're never going to get it back. So now that we've got this to a nice shiny color like that, let's use our handy dandy digital thermometer and try and take the temperature of this chocolate. We want 110 degrees Fahrenheit. That's what we're looking for. 104, 107, 109.5, 110, 111. Well, that certainly shows me that it's time for this to come off the double boiler. Let's move that out of the way and introduce our seed chocolate. 1/3 of the amount of melted chocolate that we had. We can turn that boiler off. We can turn that off entirely and start to introduce this seed chocolate. And notice, no more heat, no more double boiler, but the chocolate that's at room temperature starts to take on the characteristics. The chocolate that's melted starts to take on the characteristics of the chocolate that's at room temperature. It'll drop the temperature of this chocolate, which will allow me to use it for pouring or dipping or any other way, and it will return to its original hard, stiff, crackly state. And once all that seed chocolate is then melted, you have something that's pourable, not ploppable. If it's still plopping, you've got some more seed chocolate to put in there. If it's pourable, if it's nice and shiny like this is tempered chocolate, chocolate that is tempered well, and it's one that's going to come back to that nice hard crunchy state. Now, what do you do with this? Well, how about some pretzel sticks? All right, we'll dip some pretzel sticks in there. And actually, you know how I know that my chocolate is tempered correctly? Here's my thermometer. And the chocolate's already hard on the thermometer. That way I know it's not. And you can do this with a toothpick as well. So how about some almonds? You can lay some almonds on a pan and pour some chocolate over that. Do you have biscotti laying around? Well, sure, chocolate dipped biscotti. Ooh, look at that. Temper your own chocolate. Great thing to do with the kids. They love to get involved and dip marshmallows or dip pretzels or coat things in chocolates. You want to do little petit fours, little cakes. Pour the chocolate over them, have it return to its hard state. It's a lot of fun. It's great to get involved. Kids love it. And adults that temper chocolate, they become kids immediately. Something so much more imaginative for your loved one this Valentine's Day than just stopping at the store on your way home from work. Show that you put some thought into this. Make your own chocolates. Either way, have a fantastic and romantic Valentine's Day, because chocolate is a big part of it.